Hi, Mr. Saul. Thank you for being here today.
Hey, thank you, Devin. I'm excited to chat.
Okay. So first things first, what do you do and how would you describe it to someone who's never heard of your job before?
I'm a managing director at Lincoln International, which is an investment bank that employs about 1,500 people around the world. More specifically, I work on the private funds advisory team. So my job is to raise money from institutional investors for private investment opportunities. In some cases, those are specific companies. In other cases, it's a blind pool, it's a fund where a professional investment manager is raising capital around a strategy and a team. They want to buy companies, make them better, and sell them.
And what's an institutional investor?
Institutional investor is, I could give you some examples. It'd be a public or a private pension plan, an endowment, a foundation, or even a family office. Uh, they range in scale and size, but effectively it's an institution that has a meaningful amount of capital. I'd say that's $1 billion or more, and they have built a team around deploying capital into. I'm focused on the private markets, but frankly, it could be public markets or
Or
real assets, private credit, something like that. Um, Looking to deploy capital into opportunities to meet a specific return. Again, their goals are all like different and bespoke to what their objectives are. But yeah, and so my job is I'm the middleman. I have two sets of clients. In one hand, my clients are the investment firms that hire me to help them raise money, capital formation to deploy into whatever opportunities they're working on. And then my clients are also the institutional investors that are looking to place money in the hands of those professional investors. So my job is to know what the people at the LPs, the institutional investors, the type of strategies that they're interested in and where they want to deploy capital. And then on the other hand, for my clients who are looking to raise money, I need they want to raise money as efficiently as possible. And so my job is to play effectively matchmaker to introduce them, to frame the opportunity on both sides. And, it doesn't always work. In fact, in many cases, it doesn't. In a typical opportunity, you may have like 100 meetings, 200 meetings, and you get down and it's anywhere from like 1 to 5 investors ultimately close. So you have to be really comfortable with a lot of no's in this business for sure.
okay. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure you must have to talk to a lot of people. So how did you develop those type of soft skills?
It comes with time and experience. Foundationally in school, I studied finance, and then my first job out of school was at an investment bank called Credit Suisse First Boston. And so there you learn the modeling skills, you learn, the just the language of finance, multiples, EBITDA. You learn how finance professionals think about companies and how they measure them. And so you have to build that foundational understanding just so you can be in the room and understand what's going on. Um, and then as you evolve, you understand how the markets really work. You have the opportunity to, in a more refined way, kind of frame an investment opportunity, whether it be in a specific industry like technology or healthcare, or around a specific strategy like distressed investing, right? And it comes with time. I've been doing this for, man, over 25 years. And so just over time, you see more things and you like in your mind, you're able to compare them. You're able to observe different cycles, right? And so you, in your own way, kind of find things that are compelling for you and find a way to frame them to, you know, in this case, an institutional investor in a way that would make it interesting or compelling to them.
And what drew you to this specific part of finance?
Um, well, there's a lot of paths to take. Yeah, I always like the personal side of it. I like making that connection. I like speaking with people. I like solving problems. And so some people are more drawn to the numbers. They like to be like on the quant side and, refining and trying to find that last, 50 basis points of margin in a company. I guess at some level I was capable to do those type of things, but I prefer to like be with people and talk to them. And a lot of my clients that I'm helping raise capital for are the smartest people in an industry in their discipline. And so, you're with them, you're hanging out, and in many cases you're like with like the world expert in a specific domain. And so you just learn a lot. So I think just being intellectually curious and in my mind, I valued the personal side of it more. So once I had those foundational skills where I could be in the room, I kind of gravitated to a role where I could, I guess leverage that experience to, just be with people and, hopefully help them solve problems on both sides of the equation.
Mhm. And you mentioned that you were in this business for 25 years. How did that, or like over those 25 years, how did the industry change under you in that time?
Well, yeah, I started in the early 2000s, which was like the internet boom. It was a period of great expansion and growth, which ultimately, not too far after I started my
Yeah.
career, the tides changed and it was an economic downturn, pretty significant one. And then there was a period of economic expansion leading up to in 2008, we had the global financial crisis, which
Yeah.
was even more severe and very significant, and then you have COVID. So, throughout those 25 years, there's been significant ups and downs. And I think you just become attuned to the fact that that is going to be part of life. And for every, up or down in the market cycle, there's probably a strategy that's going to outperform and that's going to underperform. So, when I'm going about my daily business, like I'm always keeping that in mind. And then just like how do you run your life through that? You're kind of like with that experience, you just need to be ready and prepared. You're always, I guess, in your personal life, you're like making sure that you have the resources you need to like get through those tough years. I mean, in some ways, my current job is a sales role, and so those fluctuations in market dynamics really impact your ability to, get investors closed into investment opportunities. And so you're always trying to look a little bit around the corner to think like what strategy is going to be the best fit for what I think the market is going to be like. Um, and so there's a lot of ways we could take that discussion, but like right now we're working on some things in asset backed credit because there's been a lot of bumps and bruises in the direct lending market. And so and we found that is like really, really resonated with institutional investors who are like, hey, like I need something that's going to give me a nice yield, but I also want inflation protection and I want like the comfort and backing of like a real hard asset behind what I'm investing in. And so it's worked. So in that case, we got it right. We don't always, but yeah, I think it just comes with experience and wanting to kind of need to look around the corner and I guess best anticipate what the environment is going to be like and adjust your course accordingly.
And when you were studying finance in school and college, how did that kind of prepare you for your real work type of job?
Yeah, well, I mean, you need to understand accounting and
Like the
finance,
technical
basic.
parts.
Yeah, the technical parts. So that was very important early in my career because if you don't really understand those at a certain level, you're just not going to have success because you're not going to understand the conversation or the context that's going to be very necessary later in your career. Um, so it's critical that you have that. It's not rocket science. So if you were history or literature or whatever, that you weren't like a finance major, that you can easily learn it. It's not super hard or some esoteric concept that's difficult to grasp. But for me, like it was very helpful. And then, once you get in the working world, you just focus like one day at a time. Like what can I do that's going to help advance the cause for wherever you're employed? And then as you gain experience, like what's expected of you and what's needed, and probably where you want to spend your time evolves. Like I said, I'm not the person that would be super productive in a spreadsheet day to day now. There are people on my team that do that. I'm better but because of my experience, I'm able to like look at the spreadsheet, understand what it's saying, ask maybe figure out like maybe what sensitivities we should run on it so that when I'm talking with an investor, I can explain to them what is the upside case, what is the downside case, what is the most likely if interest rates go up 5%, how is it going to impact the return opportunity here, right?
Okay.
So, yep.
And do you think that school kind of helped you prepare for those technical parts, or there were some technical parts that you had to learn by yourself?
Well, I think for the most part, it did a good job. I think it's also super important to get real world experience, like working at companies and working with people that are in the industry. So while I was in college, I had the benefit of having the opportunity to have a couple really good internships. My junior year, I was in New York City. I worked for a firm called Spear Lees and Kellogg's that makes market and index derivatives. And so I don't work in index derivatives now, but like being around those people and getting closer to like their day to day, just it intrigued me. Like I knew there was something on Wall Street that I wanted to do. I didn't know exactly what it was. But I think being around people and just having those like real world conversation with them about what do they do day to day, how do they do it, how do they think about it, I think is super important. And so to the extent you're in school and you're studying, you should definitely be focused there, but you should also be endeavoring to find time with real people that are in the industry where you have interest to be able to, I guess, take that learning and the book learning just to the next level.
So, yeah. And and over your career, what's one like habit or practice that's helped you stay informed of like the news or stay productive? Like I've heard from other people like making a list and checking it off throughout the day helps them stay on task and manage what they have to do, or just like listening to the news in the morning on the drive to work. Like so it's what's one thing
Yeah.
that's helped you like that?
I think for me, it's like time management. Time is your most valuable resource. It's quite limited, and then as you get busy, like it's very important to just get things done and compartmentalize it. So for me, on my calendar, if I have a task, I will block off if it's even 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and I'll put that time aside. I'll be like, talk to Devin on Saturday morning. Here's a list of questions, and then I'll block off a little bit of time before. If I need to do preparation, I'll do that. And so that way, the time is set aside. I go in and I do everything I can within my power to get the task done within that time frame, and then I move on. Because if you don't get things done in the time allotted, you get behind and you never really catch up. So that's a process that I found works for me. Because if I just kind of have it all just in my head, like I'll forget it. I'll blow through something. I'll miss a call or something like that. So
We're only
that's
human at
just
the end of the day.
what's that?
We're all human.
You're all human, yeah, of course, yeah. And in the world we live in with technology, like things just come a lot quicker, right? I mean, I like when I was in college, my syllabus wasn't even online, right? So we were sending fax machines, and I didn't have a cell phone, and now we have AI, and it's just like been a crazy transition. So I don't know that that system's going to work for you or anyone who listens to this interview, but they need to find their way to be organized and how to prioritize what are the most 5 or 10 important things that they need to get done that day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And my last question for you is, if someone was coming out of college just like you were, um, what would be one piece of advice that you would tell them? Or if young Mr. Saul was coming out of college, what would you tell your younger self?
Well, I was just speaking with someone yesterday, and I told them that if you told the young me who was like a first or second year analyst at an investment bank that 20 plus years later I would be a managing director at an investment bank, I probably would have told you, that's not the case because I've had a bit of an atypical kind of career where I was investment banking. Then I went to like the investment and investment management world for, 10 plus years and then came back to investment banking. So I would say, be open to opportunity, and it's okay to have a plan, but also be open to what the next turn in the road could be and embrace that. And, it's okay to be methodical and evaluate it in a very intentional way. But you also need to be open to new opportunities that maybe don't exactly fit your plan. And so there are a couple of times that I have leaned in on those, and they have been super transformational for me. I'll give you an example. I was investment banking in New York, Credit Suisse, and for like some personal reasons, I needed to be in Philadelphia, and I wanted a job in private equity. It was like an area that was of great interest to me, and I couldn't find a job with in the parameters like at an professional like general partner investment firm, but I took a job that consulted and allocated capital like to that industry. And that ended up being a 12-year like career for me where I had three or four different jobs within the same firm. I moved to the West Coast and back to the East Coast and then back to the West Coast. And the company ultimately went public for multi-billion dollars. So it was very rewarding me professionally, developmentally. I met my now wife during that period, like moving back and forth. And so always just be open to what life has to offer, be thoughtful about it, evaluate it, and then once you commit yourself to it, just be all in. Just like do everything you can to make it successful.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to talk with me today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm honored that you wanted my insights, and I think it's a great project you're working on.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right, thank you. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.